guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be giving you my best advice on how to get a good grade in your GCSE French exams. By some strange miracle I managed to get a 9 in French, so I guess I'm sort of qualified to give advice. I don't even know what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to jump right in. My very first tip, which is probably the most important, is to master your grammar. That is probably the most important part of getting good grades in French. I don't know about any other language because I only took French at GCSE, but without grammar, you are nothing. No, sorry, I'm joking. You can know the most amazing, complicated vocab in the world, but if you just go into the exam and write a load of fancy sentences with the grammar all completely wrong, you are not going to get very good marks at all. So my advice is to master your grammar so that whatever you are writing in your exam, you're writing it correctly, and whatever you're saying in your speaking exam is actually correct, because I feel like people get a little bit too overexcited about vocab before they've actually mastered their grammar. That can really have a negative impact on your grades. So grammar first. So the best way to master grammar honestly is just practice. It's probably the most boring thing ever, but trust me, it's one of the most important things to getting a good grade, especially in French. And how I used to do it is I had these flashcards from Amazon. They were really cheap. I think they were just a couple of quid, and they have a lot of help with grammar in here. And also I had a grammar workbook. I don't know if I still have it. It's somewhere in my room, from CGP, and just have a couple of resources. You don't need to spend a load of money. Just some things that you can practice with. I know it's really boring. My next tip is to use Quizlet. I always talk about Quizlet in my videos, and honestly I deserve a sponsorship, but you know, that's a different story. Quizlet is really good, especially for languages, because you can use it to learn phrases and vocab and all of these different things. So I really love Quizlet, especially for your speaking exam. I don't know if it's still the same as when I did it last year. I think you choose 2 topics that you want to be asked questions about in your exam. Focus on those a lot. Make sure that you have the vocab down, and make sure you know how to say the words as well, so that you'll pronounce them correctly and you have a variety of different words to use in your exam, because that is what gets you the high marks. My next tip is to do practice papers. Practice papers are so important for any subject, but especially for languages, because like I said, you need to be practicing every single day in a variety of different ways so that your brain can start to remember it properly. Practice papers worked especially well for me for listening. Listening was always my worst discipline. I hated listening, and so in the lead up to my exam I would do a listening practice paper every single day, and that really helped me to improve. The thing is, especially with French, you just need to get into the habit of using the language and understanding it, and practice papers are a really good way of doing that. My next tip is to learn French songs, listen to French songs, and also to buy your favourite book in French, because obviously if it's your favourite book you've probably read it more than once, and so you have a vague idea of what is being said, and so with the words in French you can almost translate in your head what the words actually mean, and that can be really helpful just to see the language in action, because I feel like there's a difference between the normal simple sentences that you look at in class and the actual active live language. And a good way of immersing yourself in the actual real language is through reading your favourite book in French. And also French songs really helped me. I remember I learned what was the song? I'll put it on the screen now. I learned a song by Indila, and I learned it in French and translated it into English as well, so that I could really learn what the words meant. And I listened to that song over and over again. I loved that song. And also another French artist that I really like is Stromae. Stromae is like, I still listen to his music now even after my GCSEs, because I actually genuinely just enjoy his music. So yeah, that's another good way of just really immersing yourself in the language language, music and reading. That's really the key with languages, and especially with French. You need to immerse yourself in it, because that's the only way it's really going to stick, because learning a new language is really hard and it challenges a certain part of your brain, and so you really need to immerse yourself in it, especially in the lead up to your exams. To help you with your speaking exam, you need to just have your mindset in French. The next one is sort of similar. It's to watch TV shows and films either with French subtitles or to watch French films with English subtitles. My old French teacher from my secondary school, Madame Pini, best French teacher in the world. I love you so much. You're the only reason why I did well. She used to make us do that all the time, and not only did we watch a lot of really great films, but it really helped to immerse us in the language, because you start to familiarize yourself with how French people speak, which is really helpful for your speaking exam, because then even though you're not fluent, you can kind of guess how you would pronounce certain words, and that can be really, really good for basically making you better at the language. To hear it in action from native speakers, that is a really good way of helping you to get better. And also it's just a chance to watch TV and films and your parents can't say anything because it's revision, so you're welcome. My next tip is to use Duolingo. I used to use Duolingo every single day. I think I had something like a 120-day streak before I just gave up. It's really good. It's not super challenging, to be honest. It's quite basic, but it's just, like I said, getting into that habit of daily practice, of exposing yourself to the language every single day. I used to do it in the morning before school for about 20 minutes. You can do it on the bus there, on the bus home, if you have a spare 10 minutes after school. It's just really good, like short, quick practices that you can do just to get your head in the mindset of French. This tip is specifically for your speaking exam, and that is to only speak French the day of your exam, which will be sort of challenging, especially if you're not a native speaker, but it's honestly really, really good for just having your mind in the right place. Because I don't know about anyone else, but I felt really flustered the morning of my exam, and I was like really, really, really nervous, and I felt like there was so much going on in my head, and so I just tried to focus on French all morning. I didn't say anything if it wasn't in French, and it just meant that when I was going into my exam, my head was in the right space and I was ready to speak French. So that's another piece of advice I'd like to give you. My next tip is essential for both your writing and your speaking exam. It's really helpful, and it helped me to be prepared for anything, and that is to not to just learn grammar and vocab, but to learn actual phrases that you can insert into what you're doing. When I was doing my speaking exam, I had my 2 topics, and so with that in mind, I had a lot of high-level phrases ready to go to use in my exam, because in order to get those top grades, like the grade 8 and the grade 9, you need to be going above and beyond GCSE level, and so that involves using things like the subjunctive mood and things like that, which can be really complicated and difficult to understand at this level. And so the best thing to do, which is the advice that my teacher gave me, is to just use a phrase, have your teacher check it to make sure it's grammatically accurate, and just have that phrase that you can sort of edit according to what question you're being asked, so that you are ready with high-level language to use in your exam, both for speaking and for writing. Because like I said, in order to get those higher grades, you need to be showing that you're above and beyond GCSE level, and that you really understand, and that you're actually closer to A level than you are to GCSE, if that makes sense. So basically, getting a 9 in French is just about showing off and acting like a know-it-all, which wasn't too hard for me. What am I talking about anymore? What did I even do to get a 9 in French? Overall, my advice is to just make sure that you're practicing French every single day. Make sure that you have your grammar down. So yeah, I feel like there must be something that I've left out, and if there is, then I will make a post on it on my Instagram, which is somewhere on the screen, so you can check it out there. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you found it useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below that you enjoyed it, and make sure that you subscribe and click the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my videos. I upload every single Monday at 4:30. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions for me, leave a comment down below or DM me on Instagram, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. I will see you next week. Bye.